Hi guys, it's that time of the year again where yet another Dota 2 patch has hit. Reborn 6.85. This one is probably 25 to 30% of the impact of some of the prior big patches like 6.84 and 6.82. If you want to follow along the patch notes specifically and read every single detail, that is at www.dota2.com/685, where this lovely piece of artwork was taken from Queen of Pain and Lifestealer next to each other. And at the bottom is my social media. I stream on Twitch, Merlini Dota, Facebook, and YouTube at Merlini Dota. I release videos every Tuesday and presented by yours truly. So the overview, we have IceFrog's public development manifesto, and this is a rarity. The IceFrog does not speak out in public very often, and this time he said something a week before this patch actually hit. A new patch will be coming soon, most likely next week, in preparation for the upcoming major qualifiers. We decided it was better to limit the scope of 6.85 to mostly balanced improvements in order to release the update sooner. We'll be aiming to release 6.86 with bigger changes some period after the upcoming major. So generally we have to read all the patch notes and then we'll get a good idea of what IceFrog actually intended to do with the patch. But this time we get something a little bit more specific. It's mostly balance improvements, no huge gameplay overhaul, and it is in preparation for the upcoming major. So that is something that's a little bit unique to patch 6.85, and it did hit almost exactly 1 week after he announced it. So the patch themes that you can keep in mind as you go along this presentation, as IceFrog directly stated, is going to be mostly balance improvements. So no like huge terrain changes, Roshan changes, no new items, nothing big and fancy like that. And this actually carried over many patch themes from 6.84, but 6.84 hit quite some time ago. Do you remember what the patch themes were? Probably not, so I have them listed here to refresh your memory. Less emphasis on creep gold, like creep gold was nerfed across the board, killed gold was increased, more emphasis on hero kills and objectives to make the game more fun as well as more spectator friendly. Shake up to the 1 through 5 position system. Supports got like a lot more farm and had a lot more impact. This is pretty important. Very few minor nerfs, many minor buffs, and slight power creep. Goals: increase competitive hero pool, improve hero and item viability, decrease average game length, more kills, more objectives, and increase the skill cap. So which one of these actually carried over to 6.85? I had a little check mark to signify whether or not it was reinforced in 6.85, and the size of the check marks signify how largely they were reinforced in 6.85. So slightly less emphasis on creep gold, nothing huge, and the emphasis on hero kills and objectives, and shake up to the 1 through 5 position system. Again, mostly a balance update, not a huge gameplay overhaul. Very few minor nerfs, big check mark for that. Many minor buffs, big check mark for that. Slight power creep, medium to largest, check mark for that. And of course, goal: increase competitive hero pool. I think he's done a great job of doing that for 6.85. Improve hero and item viability, decent job with that. And slightly more kills, more objectives, less focused on creeping and AFK farming, and slightly increasing this skill cap. So one of the first bullet points was less emphasis on creep gold. How has this been in 6.85? Ancients now have some more unique auras. I think the Thunder Spears, I call them Triceratops, they have like a 15% aura, attack speed aura, I think in move speed possibly too, but pretty much they're 15% stronger, which is just a flat buff to ancient creeps. They don't actually give any more gold, so they just do a lot more damage too. But the big point is, if you actually have to take out an ancient stack, they are much harder to slay. The dragons, they're overall the same, but if in a stack they're much stronger. They have a +2 aura armor, and they have -2 armor, so if you just take them alone they'll be the same, but if you take them with a huge amount of ancients, you are going to be in for a world of pain. And Necrolight has tears in his eyes because he cannot actually slay ancients anymore with Heartstopper aura. That's, you know, a minor thing. The bigger thing is that ancient stacks are much harder to slay. That armor aura also stacks with itself. So this is kind of a buff to Chen as well as Lifestealer, who can now infest ancient creeps. So keep that in mind as well. Medallion and Solar Crest half effectiveness on Roshan. This is a really big deal. I myself have complained a lot about how quickly Roshan is taken with Solar and Medallion. It's just so hard to counterplay it. They smoke in there, they're in there for 5 seconds, and then Roshan's dead. with half effectiveness on Roshan, it'll probably increase the time that it takes Rosh, maybe like 3 to 4 seconds. But I remember at TI5 there were a lot of Roshan fights where it would have been completely different had it just been 2 to 3 seconds longer that they needed to take down Rosh. So this is a really, really, really big change in the patch, probably one of the biggest. Whoops. And then notable nerfs, major nerfs. Quite a few: BH, Lesh, Lina, Storm, Techies, Tusk, Undying, and then the items, Bloodstone, and Glimmer Cape. So pretty much the bane of most pubs and very high priority bans in most competitive games. Lesh, I think, got hit pretty darn hard. Lina, not so badly, but these are your major nerfs. Minor nerfs: Anti-Mage, Bloodseeker, Huskar, Naga, PL, Queen of Pain, Spirit Breaker, and Winter Wyvern. And items, there's actually a lot of minor nerfs to items. BOTs, because the cost for BOT stays the same, whereas the cost for a teleport scroll is 75 gold down from 100, which is pretty big. I expected bots to get nerfed, the cost to get cheapened by a similar fashion, but it's the same cost, so you have to use it a lot more times to be as effective as using that many TP scrolls. Yul's cast range is nerfed. Medallion, Solar, I should have probably put those in major nerfs because I said it was a pretty big change, but those, again, half effectiveness on Roshan. And siege creeps are also nerfed. They're not as strong. You can, I believe you can Midas them now. They have 80% magic resistance. You can also do other creep interactive things with them. Like, I assume you can like dominate them with Helm of the Dominator and whatnot. And then we have some notable buffs. There's a lot more heroes that receive buffs than the 10 that I listed. But I just wanted to mention these. Bane, Chen, Invoker. Invoker got a decent buff in 6.84, but he wasn't really seen at all. So not sure if it's notable or not. Kunkka, LC, Lich, NP, Ogre, Puck, Slardar, VS, Warlock. A lot of these are actually offlaners. Kunkka has been played in the offlane before. LC, Lich, NP, Ogre. Like, these are heroes that you'll see in the offlane a decent amount. So some carries got buffed, but I think the offlane role got a lot more buff than the carry role. So I expect to see even more pressure lanes in 6.85. And then I have a few with a asterisk. Slardar and VS, they got like slight buffs, but they're actually much stronger than it seems like because of the Medallion and Solar nerf. So their minus armor is still 100% effective on Roshan, which means that it's just much stronger relative to Medallion and Solar Crest, and minus armor is going to be very, very good on Roshan. And same with TA and SF. TA actually got, I would say, dually buffed, one by having her minus armor on Roshan, and 2, her trap vision. There's a lot of heroes that got their vision nerfed a little bit, which I'll go over in a few slides down, but her traps are still just as effective as before. Gives you a lot of vision, so she's actually much stronger even though she didn't directly receive any buffs. And SF with his minus armor as well is going to be really strong at taking out Roshan. And some items: Helm of the Dominator, Mango, Manta, and Veil all received pretty sizable buffs. And the big winner, TP Scroll. I think TP Scroll is probably the item that is bought most overall in quantity in a given game, and it's 100 to 75 gold. That is so cheap now. It used to cost 135 gold. 175 gold, there's pretty much no excuse to carry one around, and it's pretty hard to justify buying BOTs, but expect there to be a lot more action because everyone can afford one now. And then now we have new patch themes that we haven't seen in 6.84 or some other patches. Added another Aghanim Scepter upgrade that doesn't affect the hero's ultimate at all. So this one would be Undying. Now it improves his decay rather than improving his flesh golem. And the hero that we saw with the Aghanim Scepter that upgraded Laser and Rocket was Tinker. So this is the second time that that's happened, and it's probably going to happen more in the future, similar to how Queen of Pain and Lina got BKB piercing ultimates. And you might see this trend more in the future. So just something to pick up on and look for in future patches. And this patch theme also encouraged underutilized playstyles for heroes. This is something that we've seen in a few patches, but this one I would say is a little bit more notable. Carry VS, like her agility growth got buffed a lot. Roaming Out, he gets more gold from bounty runes. Nuker Chen, Penitence, and Test of Faith got buffed. Blade Fury got buffed on his jug, so now he's not solely a physical damage dealer, and you'll see some other ones too. So that's kind of cool, encouraging hero variety within a hero as opposed to just the overall hero pool. And Vision is a lot harder to acquire. This makes Observer Wards a lot stronger and more important. Disruptor no longer gains vision from his nuke. BH Track only gives vision to the target itself, doesn't really give that much vision around him. Nature's Prophet, you don't get as much vision from the treants. Storm gets less vision from his Remnant. Last patch, he got nerfed in his zip vision, and Bloodstone, you no longer gain vision of the area where you died in. So overall vision is hard to acquire, placing more emphasis on things like TA traps, Observer Wars, Zeusol, perhaps, that he may make a comeback. And patch timings pre-majors T and TI. A lot of people wonder when is this patch going to hit? They're highly anticipating a patch to hit post-TI, but most of the time you should think about it in terms of how soon is it going to hit before the next big event, as opposed to how soon is it going to hit after a big event. And you should generally expect large patches to hit at least 7 weeks before a major or TI. It's about 7 weeks till the Frankfurt major, and prior to TI is generally, I would say, like 7 to 12 weeks. But if it were 12 weeks, you wouldn't even see a patch in between majors, because Valve likes to get a fair amount of tournament data from a patch so they can add some B and C and perhaps a D iteration before the major and have that patch played for, I would say, at least a month. So 4 weeks prior to the patch. So you have like a 3-week experimentation period, generally like 2 or 3, I would say, and then 4 weeks of like good solid playtime before a major. But the major system is new. This could change, but this is just my expectation of when a patch is going to hit. So thank you guys. Again, not that big of a patch, but that's my analysis for Dota 2 patch 6.85. Again, check out the patch notes at dota2.com/685 for all the numbers, all the specifics, all the nitty gritty. See if your favorite hero got buffed. Thank you. Please hit that subscribe button. See you guys around.